Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar, e-inspection copies, how to use them and why they're beneficial for you. I'm Catherine, an Associate Marketing Manager for Greater London and the South of the UK.
And I'm Chloe, and I'm also an Associate Marketing Manager for the UK, covering the North East and North West of the UK.
So this webinar will last approximately 1 hour and we'll be covering the following questions.
What are e-inspection copies? What are the benefits of e-inspection copies for me? How do I request an e-inspection copy? How do I access an e-inspection copy? How do I review an e-inspection copy? What if I want to adopt this textbook onto my course? And what happens next?
So we'll also be hearing from one of our Taylor & Francis sales representatives, Sebastian, who covers institutions in the North and Scotland. During the last 10 minutes of the webinar, we'll also have a Q&A session, giving you the opportunity to ask us any questions you may have about our e-inspection copies. You can type your questions into the chat box at any time during the webinar, and we'll read them out for you as your microphones are muted. We will also be recording this webinar and be sharing the recording afterwards via email. Okay, so what actually are e-inspection copies? So some of you will already be aware of e-inspection copies, may have used them before and accessed them regularly, but for those who haven't, we'll give you a very brief overview. E-inspection copies are online digital versions of our books with added benefits, which Chloe will discuss later on. They allow you to identify in your own time whether the textbook is suitable for your course for free. Inspection copies allow you to look at up-to-date textbooks with access to the latest research in your field of interest. Choosing the right books for your course is important as it can increase student engagement. Setting core textbooks can also help students achieve better learning outcomes by accessing the right pedagogy to enhance their studies. Our textbooks also include statistics, case studies, test banks and online resources to enrich learning and encourage independent research, complementing lectures and seminars. In the follow-up email, which we'll send round after the webinar, you'll have the chance to opt into our mailing list. We regularly send emails to our customers to update them with new books published in their subject area, as well as new editions of popular textbooks. If you'd like to receive regular updates about textbooks in your subject area, this could be of interest to you. We've chosen digital inspection copies as they can be sent to you instantly via your email address and can be accessed even if you're offline, whereas a print inspection copy can take up to 3 weeks to be delivered to you.
So with most of our textbooks available as e-inspection copies, you might be wondering what the benefits are for you. How is a digital version more beneficial than a print copy? Surely it's actually just more beneficial for us as the publisher, right? Not at all. In fact, we've ensured that the e-inspection copy process is entirely easy and useful for you as someone working within a university teaching environment. We know how busy you are, so we want the process to be as helpful as possible for you. We can provide your e-inspection copy quickly and easily through our provider VitalSource, who have ensured that your textbook is accessible and simple to use. If you've already requested an e-inspection copy from us previously and you've been pre-approved, you should be able to gain instant access from your chosen textbook with full functionality for an unlimited time. This means it takes less time for your textbook to be delivered to you than a physical print copy would. Our e-inspection copies also have a lower environmental impact, particularly as there is no physical processing, postage, or packaging involved in the delivery process. Just like a physical copy, an e-inspection copy is portable and accessible from wherever you are via laptop, mobile phone, and tablet, meaning you don't have to be on campus to browse. Using all of these devices, you're able to bookmark and annotate the text, useful for any notes that you need to make for teaching or for sharing with your colleagues. You can bookmark a specific chapter for a lesson, annotate with any notes you might need for teaching, and all of these will be saved for you on the document to review at any point. Our e-inspection copies are also as flexible as possible for you. Available through iOS, Android, Kindle Fire, Mac, and PC, you can access them on any platform and operating system that you need to. They'll save your progress so that you know exactly where you left off when you next access your textbook. There's also a search function to help you find specific themes or topics that might not show in any chapter titles or sections. This can help you think about how you can implement the textbook into your teaching practice. Feedback that we've received from lecturers about e-inspection copies has included how excellent they found the speed of e-inspection copies and that they are a useful way to access new titles to check their suitability. You can discover more testimonials from instructors by viewing our short informative video, which outlines all of these benefits for you. We'll send the video around to you or in the email after this webinar, or you can find it on the Taylor and Francis YouTube channel.
Okay, so how do I request an e-inspection copy? There are two ways for you to request an e-inspection copy. These are either through your sales representative or through our website. To request one via our website, simply search the book you want to evaluate on our website using the search bar in the top right-hand corner. Alternatively, if you don't know which book you want to review for your course, browse our regularly updated online textbook catalogues. Once you've found the book you would like to request an inspection copy for, click the Request Inspection Copy link on the book's webpage. Then complete the short form, which will include information on your university and course, as well as contact and mailing information. At the end of this form, simply click the Submit button. As Chloe mentioned earlier, if you've requested an inspection copy from us before and are a pre-approved customer, you'll be able to gain instant access to the book with full functionality for an unlimited period, provided you meet our criteria. If you've not requested one from us before, it could take up to 48 hours for the inspection copy to be sent to your email address. After you've requested one inspection copy from us, you'll then gain instant access to further EICs from that point onwards. You can also request an e-inspection copy via our Taylor and Francis sales representatives. To find out who your sales representative is, you can visit our website. We'll send round a link to this webpage after the webinar. In your email to them, please include which inspection copies you would like, as well as your contact information, the course name, course start date, number of students expected to enrol, and the final decision date for your book list. Our sales representatives will also visit your university, usually once a term. Feel free to email them to find out when this will be and to ask their book recommendations for your course, particularly in the current climate.
So, as I mentioned earlier, our e-inspection copies are provided by online book provider VitalSource. VitalSource is a popular platform and it's used by many publishers to provide e-inspection copies. There are a variety of benefits to using VitalSource, including their read aloud feature to enable text-to-speech, ease of access and excellent functionality. Once you have requested your e-inspection copy, you will receive an email with a link giving you access to the bookshelf and sampling portal on VitalSource and a redemption code. If you don't receive your email, make sure you contact your sales representative or Taylor and Francis directly. These emails do occasionally go into spam folders, so be sure to check there too. It's really important to us that you make us aware of any issues that you might have with the email. We can help you solve any initial access issues, plus work to ensure that they don't happen for anyone else. Plus, we really do want you to receive your requested textbook. When you are on the VitalSource website, you will need to log into your existing account, create a new account, or request a new password if you've forgotten your previous one. Make sure when you're signing in or creating a new account that you use the same email address that you provided us with. That way, your textbooks and your redemption code can be linked straight back to you. Once you've logged into your account, you'll need to select Redeem. Enter your redemption code into the text box to receive your access to your textbook. Your e-inspection copy will then be added directly to the bookshelf, and you can double-click on the book jacket to open it and start reading. Once you have access to your e-inspection copy, you'll then be able to review it without an internet connection once you've downloaded the app. Catherine will go into more details about the benefits that VitalSource provides with regards to annotations, bookmarks, and search functions. But you'll be able to use these straight away in order to find everything that you need and to make any important notes that you might have. Again, should you have any issues accessing your e-inspection copy, always contact either your sales representative directly or Taylor and Francis via the exam.copy@taylorandfrancis.com email or through VitalSource via their help centre. If you have any issues whilst accessing your e-inspection copy that are related to VitalSource, you can use their help centre to reach out to them or the FAQ pages available on their website. If you have any questions relating to the textbook itself and the content it contains, your sales representative would be your first point of contact. They'll be able to provide you with the answers that you need.
Okay, so how do you review an inspection copy once you have access to it in VitalSource? You'll have access to all your Taylor & Francis e-inspection copies on VitalSource for an unlimited period, allowing you the time to evaluate the textbooks at your own pace. If you have any issues accessing your EIC, please do let us know. Either do this via the feedback email you'll be sent or get in touch with your sales representative. You can also read your inspection copies offline. To do this, download and install VitalSource Bookshelf for your computer or mobile device and sign into your account using your normal VitalSource email address and password. Once you've signed in, download any of your textbooks to your device for offline use. There are also bookmark and annotation features available on VitalSource, which can make your EIC easier to review. Once you're reading your textbook, you can search using the magnifying glass icon from the menu bar. From here, you can search your e-inspection copy to find any topics or ideas you might need. You can navigate directly to a particular chapter using the table of contents icon, meaning wherever you are in the book, you can go to wherever you need to be. You can also reorder the layout of these menus, ensuring they work best for you and your needs. To highlight, you can select the text, click the coloured circle of the highlighter you wish to use when it pops up, and your selection will have been made. You can click on the highlight to find the highlighter tools, which enables you to edit or add to your highlight, adding an additional note if you need to, or delete the highlight. To make a note, click within the Add Note field. Your notes can be text, images, emojis, lists and more, providing whatever you need for your e-inspection copy. Your notes and highlights will automatically be uploaded once online, meaning that you can access these annotations on any of your devices. As Chloe mentioned earlier, you can bookmark the text, useful for any notes you need to make for teaching or sharing with your colleagues. You can bookmark a specific chapter for a lesson, annotated with any notes you might need for teaching. All of these will be saved for you on the document to review at any point. You'll be sent a feedback form in order to provide any comments or evaluation you may have, 2 weeks after you've received your e-inspection copy. On this form, you'll be asked what you would like to do with your book now that you've read through it. If you do not wish to adopt the textbook, you can select the option, I will not be adopting this book for my course. You'll also be given the option to let us know why you did not find this book suitable. Please feel free to browse our website to request further e-inspection copies using the same process that's already been discussed.
Okay, so let's talk about what happens if you decide that you would like to adopt this textbook onto your course. What are the next steps? So, as Catherine mentioned, you will be sent a feedback form to provide any comments or evaluation that you may have. When asked what you would like to do with your book now that you've read through it, should you wish to adopt the textbook, you can choose from I will be adopting this book for my course, or I have adopted the book on my course and recommended a copy for our library. Once you've chosen one of these options, you can then specify the level of recommendation that you would like to give the textbook, choosing from required textbook, highly recommended, or additional reading. We'd then also like to know the course start date, the number of students you would be sharing it with, and the year of study. Plus, you can also recommend it to any other members of your department who might also be interested in this textbook. You'll then also be able to submit your feedback on the strengths and weaknesses of the textbook, your current recommended reading list, any questions you might have about this book or any other Taylor & Francis products, and information about your bookstore should you have one. Once you've filled out the form, you can click Submit and we'll be in touch with you shortly about your adoption. It's really important to us to find out more about why you have chosen your textbook and the level of recommendation that you've picked. It enables us to further recommend books to you, helps us to identify future publishing decisions, and allows us to choose particular subjects or ideas that are important to faculty members. We're always happy to hear your feedback and recommendations, so please let us know. Additionally, you can always go directly through your sales representative. They'll be able to guide you through the adoption process, offering you advice and answers to any questions that you might have. If you do choose to adopt the book as a core title, you may then also be able to request a complimentary print desktop copy, which will enable you to have a physical copy to look over and use as you wish. Your sales representative will be able to order this for you, or you can email exam.copy@taylorandfrancis.com directly. So to help you understand the e-inspection copy process further and to understand the importance of your sales representative, we'll now hear from the UK Higher Education Sales Representative for Scotland and the North, Sebastian.
Thank you, Chloe. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. So just like Chloe mentioned, I do cover Scotland and the North indeed, and maybe some of you have met me already or have received some of my emails. But what I will say obviously applies to all the different regions that we cover. So it's actually a good thing that I get to close this webinar just before we switch to the Q&A session, as I'll be summarizing parts of what has been said already. I'll try to be quick, but there are a few key points I really wanted to emphasize on. For my team and myself, our key concern is to make sure that you get to use the pedagogical resources that are the most relevant possible for your lectures, what you think would work the best. And for you to be able to do that, there's no secret. You need to get access to these resources. You have to have a look at them, review them first, and see whether they would indeed work well with your pedagogy. So what we really want is for you to be able to have a look at as many titles as possible. And unfortunately, if we were to send paper copies, this wouldn't quite be possible, as we would quickly get restricted in terms of how many copies we can send to you. When I meet with you on campus, we usually go through the book's descriptions, the table of contents, we discuss several titles, and many times you tell me, well, actually, we've seen other titles before that I'm sure about, but I don't know this particular title. This one could be really relevant as well, at least for these and these chapters, but I'm not sure. And because you're not sure, and because traditionally speaking, you expect publisher to send paper copies, I can see you don't quite dare to ask for a copy, as well as you're not even sure yourself whether this specific title could be relevant. But the only way to know really is to have a look at it, right? So what we want to avoid is to send paper copies for you to receive 2 weeks later. Then, as you know, this happens sometimes, for you to realize it's not what you expected, that it won't work, and then for me not to be able to send you another title before next semester, simply because we've reached the limits of paper copies we can send. And that's exactly why I'll send you an e-copy first. This allows me to send you more, and these titles you're not quite sure about, well, then you can have a look at them. Have a look at them all, and once you know which ones are relevant, once you can tell me which ones you want to put on your reading list, then I can get you these specific copies in paper for you to work on. I'm the first one to believe that reading on a screen is fine, but when it comes to actually working on a book, you know, going through the pages, taking notes, you need a paper copy. At least I do. Now, don't get me wrong, I may not be able to always send you a paper copy. Let's say if you only have 10 students for your module and the book is only available in hardback at, let's say, £150, that happens sometimes. Obviously, this will be hard for me to justify, but know that I will always encourage for this. And when I can do it, I'll do my best, and so will my colleagues. Now, so e-copies, although I know some of you actually really like them and find them really convenient, e-copies don't mean that you won't get paper copies anymore at some point, really not. It's just a great way for us to give you access to more content so you can narrow down to what is relevant only, while making sure that you're not missing anything. And then we get you the relevant titles in print when we can. And by the way, if you've adopted the book as a core or essential reading, there's no question about that. We'll make sure that we get you a paper copy. It's more when it comes to additional readings that it may be restricted, but we'll always discuss that with you. So don't hesitate to ask us anyway. Get in touch with me, get in touch with my colleagues. We'll discuss that, no problem at all. The other good thing that's been mentioned before is that it's obviously much quicker to process e-copies. So when you receive the codes to redeem, our meeting is still fresh. You'll remember the titles we've discussed. And if the books we gave you access to aren't relevant, you'll see it right away. And we can move on and look for more instead of having you to wait a couple of weeks before you get the books. Then, like I said earlier, you open them, they're not good. You need to get back to me, and you need to get back into the process of looking for more content as well. Ask me for more titles, wait for potentially 2 more weeks before you get the books. As you can imagine, that could take a while before you actually get to work on the actual books that you'll need and will be using for your next semester, let's say. I wanted to quickly mention the feedback as well. Really wanted to insist on that and on how important feedbacks are for us. I do receive them all personally from my territory, and I read them all, and so do my colleagues for their respective regions they cover. So obviously, if you've not had the time to review the books yet, feel free to ignore the automated emails. But once you have reviewed the book, please, please, please provide us with feedback. The information we ask you for are forwarded to editorial, and they need such live feedback, as they might be working on a new edition or might be working on a similar project. Feedback also helps us to manage stock, anticipate reprints potentially if needed, anticipate deliveries to your local bookshops when we know you have adopted a book, especially if it's going to be a core book on your reading list. I believe it's hard enough to get students in the mood for book shopping, so it would be a real shame if they couldn't find the books on the shelves. And finally, I'd like you to see these Vital Source versions as an opportunity to maybe try the features that come with that digital format. I almost want to call them pedagogical features because they can really be used that way, and you'll shortly understand how. A few years ago, when I was covering France, I had an opportunity to work with a business school in the south of France that wanted to switch to 100% digital environment for absolutely all their programs. Students wouldn't have to buy books anymore, and actually the library wouldn't have paper copies anymore either. The students would be provided with all the textbooks of all their reading lists in digital in the Vital Source format. So preparing for that project, I was helping all the lecturers to find content in our catalog for each one of their modules. And as you can imagine, that was a lot of work actually. And while they were actually reluctant at first, I was amazed to see how some of them would actually use these ebooks once the academic year had started. It's been mentioned earlier, but I wanted to really insist on that. Not only can you link directly to a specific page within the book, which is quite convenient when you want to refer to chapters directly from your VLE, whether you're using Moodle or Blackboard, you can put a web link directly to the book. But you can also highlight and take notes within the book, and you can create different categories, decide whether you want to keep these notes for yourself, share them with your colleagues if you have a teaching team, if you have a large cohort, or even share them with different groups of students or all of them even. I've seen lecturers apply their critical approach this way, as students would read a chapter, and during or at the end of that chapter, they would find the lecturer's notes explaining what is critical, what is potentially debatable. Lecturers would also add links to another resource on the VLE, to their own blog, or even to some podcast articles, bringing up some more up-to-date content to their students' attention. And so if you can have your notes and share your notes, students can do the same, obviously, so they can take notes of their own, but they can also share notes with their classmates. So that's quite convenient when they are working on a project in small groups, for example. I've seen some lecturers really engage with these features. So if you are curious about these, I believe the Vital Source copies are a great opportunity to try these out anyway, because you're going to have that anyway. So just give it a try. Feel free to ask us about these as well. I personally love to see academics taking advantage of what digital format can offer. And I've seen how much more interactive it makes the lectures. So I'll always encourage and help such usage. So yeah, don't hesitate. Get in touch with me, get in touch with your local rep. We're here to help with that. Now, I think that's it from me. I believe we're now moving to the Q&A session, Chloe.
Hi, yeah, thank you, Seb. That was really good. It's really useful to hear about the sales representative's point of view, so thank you. We have now reached the end of our presentation, so hopefully you found this a really good overview of e-inspection copies, and it's been explanatory and useful for you. So we'll now be answering any questions that you might have for us. So if you can please type any questions into the text box, and we'll read them out and answer them for you.
So we'll just give everyone a minute or so to write out any questions they may have. Thank you as well, Michael, for saying that you find being able to view online inspection copies in advance valuable. Okay, so one question we did have in advance of the webinar was from Pam regarding how to read page numbers on your e-inspection copy, which I believe Seb is going to answer for us.
Yes, so I know ebooks can be confusing sometimes because depending on the format, especially EPUB, you can change the size of the text, so you can read more easily on your screen. And because as soon as you do that, obviously page numbers don't make any sense anymore. But with VitalSource, it's not the case. VitalSource is pretty much an augmented PDF, shall I say. So the layout, the display of the page will not change. It's just exactly like a paper book. So you can actually refer to a specific page, mention that to your students, and they'll find that in their book, whether they're using the digital version or the paper book. Now, although I said it's pretty much like a PDF, if you have a look at the ebook, at the bottom of the page, you won't see the page number. But there is, whether you're using the app on the iPad or if you're using your laptop or your computer, there is, just like when you're reading a PDF or just like when you're working on Microsoft Word, for example, there is a section on the interface that actually tells you on which page you are, and you can actually type a specific page number there as well. So it's pretty easy to see which page you're on and access a specific page in no time. You just type that page number and you get access, you get to that book specifically right away.
Thank you, Seb. So another question we've had is, how long are the e-inspection copies valid / available for? Do they expire?
I can answer this one as well if you want.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So what we do, and I'll be fully honest with you, so normally most of the time we send perpetual access, which means you're meant to be able to access these e-copies forever. Now, the first thing is, and I always recommend to lecturers to actually, if they can, download the book on their locally on their device, because even though they are meant to be able to access these books, if some of these titles are pretty old, VitalSource sometimes remove them from their platform. So if you have downloaded the book locally, you can still access it and you can still read it, but it won't be online anymore. So that's why I really advise to download these books, because you'll be able to access them. But if you didn't download them first and just go on the browser, for example, try to access the ebook through Chrome or Internet Explorer, you won't find it anymore. Now, this is really rare, but keep that in mind always, because some obscure title, really niche titles, they can disappear, but again, it won't happen before maybe 10 or 15 years. It's just anticipating here. The other thing I wanted to mention is sometimes, and again, I'll be fully honest with you, I may have sometimes requests for, I've had some lecturers asking me for 80 inspection copies within one night, and I'm not joking, that happened to me once. That lecturer spent the entire night going through the catalog and has been requesting inspection copies for each one of them. What I did, obviously I did contact him, but I also sent that lecturer 3 or 6 month access only, because obviously there was no way this lecturer would actually use all these different textbooks for his lectures or even for his personal research. So I did send not perpetual, but only 6 month access. But for all the books that we did discuss afterward and all the books that he did want to use and wanted to work on, obviously I unlocked the perpetual access.
Thank you, Seb. So another question we've had is, can inspection copies be downloaded or are they on the TNF portal only?
So, well, just like I said earlier, I kind of touched on that. They can definitely be downloaded, and I would definitely recommend for you to do that. You'll still be able to access them online on the fly. Let's say you're in the train, you just have your laptop, you want to quickly check the copy. You've not downloaded it on that specific device, you'll be able to access it still. But yeah, if you can download it. TNF portal, so no, it's not just on the TNF portal only, it's not just on the VitalSource only, but you'll need the VitalSource bookshelf to access it, because it's a VitalSource specific format. So that means you'll always need the app or to access it through that website.
Okay, so the next question is, if you adopt the book, can you still use the ebook? And the answer to that is yes. You'll still be able to view your e-inspection copy on VitalSource.
Yeah.
Then the next question we've got is, do you have any T&F guidelines for reading an inspection copy rather than reading it in the traditional read it right through process?
Yeah, so as sales representatives, do you guys have any advice for that, particularly as to how you would go through a inspection copy?
If I'm honest, I'm not sure I understand that question.
So have you got any sort of suggestions as to the best way to go through an inspection copy? Or would you recommend just reading straight through it and making notes from there?
Oh, well, kind of like I touched it. I mean, I know some of you are really comfortable with e-copies, and if that is the case, please definitely read through the whole book. You can start working on it, but obviously, as soon as you know you'll be using it, especially like I said, as a core essential reading, you can get in touch with me or my colleagues, and we'll get you a desk copy as well. But if you don't mind the digital format, definitely go for it. Now, I know some of you really don't like that, and that's why I keep saying it's just for you to have a read. You know, that happens a lot. You open a book and sometimes right away, within 5 minutes, you can tell because of the approach, because of how the author is writing, you know it's not gonna work for your lectures. You know it's not gonna be relevant at all. So that's what we want to avoid. That's why we don't send paper copies right away, because we don't want that to happen. So for those who really don't like the digital version, I can understand that, but please at least open it. Go through the different chapters, make sure that the key points that you want to be covered for your lectures, make sure that it's within the book indeed. And once you know whether it's gonna be a fit or not, then you can tell me, ask me, and I could get you a paper copy. But yeah, it really depends on how comfortable you are with the ebook. If you can go through it all, take the time to read it entirely, just go for it, definitely. But if you really are reluctant and you don't like that, if you've got health issues as well, I mean, I know some people cannot keep reading on a screen for hours, and I definitely understand that. So what we would ask you is to please have a quick read through, go through the chapters, make sure that the essentials are there, and once it is confirmed that this is a relevant title indeed, then let us know and we'll definitely arrange that for you. We'll make sure you can get access to a paper copy.
Thank you, Seb. So another question we've had is, before adopting the book, do you provide teaching resources to the faculty to check? So yeah, the answer to this is many of our books do come with online resources. We do have a webinar coming up in the next month or so that will go through some of our online resources that we offer faculty. So to check if your book has these resources, you can go onto the books page on our website and there'll be an icon that says online resources, or you can email your sales representative to find out if your book does have these resources. And in some cases, we will be able to grant you access to these for you to have a look through before you adopt the book.
Yeah, if I can add to that,
Yeah.
so obviously some resources we don't want the students to be able to access them, so they are locked behind the login screen. You'll see on the companion website sometimes, you know, there's a tab for all the students' resources, and all of these you can see right away. Everyone can actually, even not your students. But the lecturers' resources are locked, protected, just because potentially you'll be using them for your exam, so we don't want the students to be able to access them prior to that. So if that happens to be the case and you cannot manage to log in, please let us know. Do contact your local rep indeed. I would always recommend you, as soon as you receive an inspection copy, to check whether there is a companion website or not indeed. So you can ask us and we'll tell you right away. We'll potentially mention that if we have met. So during the meeting, we go through potential inspection copies, and I'll usually mention it. I'll tell you, actually, this one, keep in mind, it's got a companion website, or it's got additional lecture resources. But I might miss one or two sometimes. So always check. It's pretty easy, really straightforward for you to know right away. Check the front page, front cover, and you'll see there's two different symbols that you want to check. There's either an arrow base, and it's written all around companion website, And then within the book, or at the, I think it's at the back cover, you'll see the web page, so you can see the email, the web address. So just follow that link. Or you'll see an arrow pointing down, and it's I think it's e-resources that's mentioned. And that means you have specific lecture resources, and these one would be logged behind the login screen, and then you can ask us for an access to this. And most of the times, I would say in maybe 90% of the case, you'll be able to have access to these resources right away as soon as you get inspection copies. Actually, most of the time before you even receive your inspection copy. Keep in mind that although we are working pretty hard on that, some titles these days still, when they are brand new, the titles are published, and sometimes the companion website is only live, is only online a few months down the line. But obviously, we'll let you know if that is the case. If we are to discuss a brand new title, we will let you know. And keep in mind, we are working really hard to make sure that nowadays and in the future, all companion websites are live when the book is published, when the book is released.
Thank you. We've had another question regarding students and the fact that they're unwilling to buy books due to the expense. Is this your experience too?
It really depends. It's actually quite funny because it really depends on the university and it really depends on the department. And same for the actual format. Some students don't have an issue at all going for ebooks, and some of them will never touch an ebook. And it also really depends on the department and the university. It's really changing from one place to another. So I don't know why, potentially because some universities are pretty proactive already using a VLE. Some lecturers are really pushing their students to go and look for additional resources, more media, you know, so web links, etc., more interactive resources, and some of them are much more pretty, I'd say, traditional with their approach, and therefore only go towards paper and just you know, journals, paper journals, and paper textbooks. It very much depends, if I'm honest.
Okay, and then another question we've got, which might be again for you, Seb, is there any special requirements for Vital Source?
That's an excellent question, actually. For the app, so I don't have the details, although maybe I can find them pretty quickly, but for the apps, so on your iPhone, iPad, or Android devices, or even the Kindle, I would assume that you need a rather up-to-date device, not necessarily just the last gen device or just the last gen operating system, but I think actually I'll try and check that live if you don't mind. But you'll have requirements, but you know, you can see these details in the App Store or the Play Store for Android. So it's going to tell you if you need iOS 8, for example, or Android 7 or 8. So these kind of details. On your computer, you've got two possibilities. You can either go through the book through the web browser, so you just want to make sure that Chrome or Opera or Internet Explorer is up to date. But you can also download, I mean, these days we would say apps because everything is mobile, but the software really, so what is called the bookshelf. You can download and install the bookshelf, and as soon as you've done that, there's no specific technical requirement. The only thing I would say is sometimes if you try to access the ebook from your university, depending on the restrictions your IT department may have put in place, you might struggle to access the web version, the one through your web browser, or you might not be allowed to install the actual bookshelf on your computer. So that is when apps on your mobile devices really come in handy, because then you can definitely have that on your iPad or your phone. I would definitely not recommend going through the book on your phone. It's too small of a screen, but at least the iPad is accessible for that. And obviously, if that is the case, discuss that with us as well, because if we're sending you inspection copies but you cannot check them, it's not what we want. So if you have some specific cases, specific situations like that, let us know and we work around that. That's no problem at all.
Great, thank you very much, Seb. I'm just going to have one last check if there's any more questions. Okay, we've got another one. It is, can we request ICs from Routledge and or CRC Press?
Yes, so you can. So you can have, if the inspection copy is available, you can request it from both CRC Press and Routledge, so that's not a problem at all. And you just have to either go through your sales representative, or you can click directly on the request an inspection copy link on the website, and you'll be able to request your inspection copy from there.
And if I may, I'd love to use that question to insist on one thing, actually, and I tell that to all the lecturers I meet on campus. When you are looking for new textbooks, and so you are obviously going through our websites, I would always recommend to go on the routledge.com website, because it's got everything, including CRC Press, including Psychology Press, including Productivity Press. So instead of having to go through different websites, just go to routledge.com right away, and you'll find everything there. So it's going to be much simpler for you. And whenever you see the option to request your inspection copy, you can do it there. But again, on that only website, you'll find everything, including CRC Press and Routledge.
Thank you both. Another question is, can it be any priced book?
Sorry?
Can the book be any price?
Oh,
are all
yeah.
books available as inspection copies?
So I still see some titles sometimes that are not yet available in digital format. So obviously, when that is the case, we definitely consider paper copies. Now, that will very much depend on the actual book. Some titles are only available as hardbacks. Hardbacks can be really expensive, as you know. Some titles can be up to £180. So before I can send such a paper book to you guys, we definitely need to discuss numbers, and I definitely need to check. We check the table of contents. We really want to make sure that is a relevant title and that is susceptible to be a good one for you. So no, you will still see some titles, less and less though, but you will still see sometimes some titles are not yet available as ebooks. As e-inspection copies. So if that is the case, please do get in touch with us. Something I would mention as well is on our website, you can sometimes see titles before they are actually published, which is an excellent thing because you can already anticipate what could be, let's say you're preparing lectures for September, and you can already see on our website that a specific book is going to be released in June. It would be a shame for you to miss out on this one. So obviously you wanna let me know right away that as soon as the book is released, you want to get your inspection copy, and that's no problem at all. You can tell me right away. You don't have to remind me when the book is released. Tell me right as soon as you see the title. I'll process that for you. But on that occasion, before the book is released, sometimes we don't have created the ISBN. We don't have created the reference for the ebook, so you won't see an ebook yet. If that is the case, what I usually do is I just wait for the actual publication date and I go back on that specific title page, and most of the time then I see the ebook reference. So yeah, don't be surprised. You might not always see an ebook reference right away, but every time get in touch with us and we'll double check that for you. We'll make sure that we know what's going on with this title.
Thank you very much, Seb. So I think that is all the questions we've had. Thank you very much to everyone for sending them in.
Sorry, I just saw one last question. What do we do from now to access inspection options? So right off the bat, go on our website, check the titles you're interested in. If you see the button, request your inspection copy right now, you can do it on your own. If you're not too sure, contact your local rep. That's what I would say. And don't hesitate to let us know when we send emails out to say we'll be on campus. If you want to meet with us, just let us know and we'll make sure we can meet with you guys.
Thank you, Seb.
You're most welcome.
Fab. Excellent. So I think we've come to the end of our webinar. So we just wanted to say thank you so much for attending and for listening, and we hope you've enjoyed it. We'll be running more webinars throughout this year, including the next webinar, which will focus on the benefits of online resources and companion websites for instructors and students. So we hope to see you then. And thank you again for listening to our webinar, and we hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.